Ladies and gentlemen, may I ask you to return to your seats, please? Meine Damen und Herren, wenn Sie bitte wieder Ihre Plätze finden würden. I hope everybody enjoyed that lunch and that time to continue our discussions. I sat in on a number of interesting discussions, got lots of food for thought for later on. So many thanks to all of those who helped me with that. We move on now to our plenary keynote on more freedom on the internet, challenges and opportunities of the new top-level domains. And we are very, very pleased to have with us to present the keynote the man who also represents the patron of this conference, the Bavarian government. He is Franz Josef Pschierer, CIO and IT delegate of the Bavarian State Government. He has served in the Bavarian State Parliament since 1994. He's chaired its Committee on Economic Affairs, Infrastructure, Transport, and Technology, and did that until 2008. In that same year, he was appointed State Secretary in the Ministry of Finance of the Bavarian State Government. And he took up his position as Bavaria's Delegate for Information and Communication Technology 2 years ago. And he has kindly agreed to answer your questions after his keynote. And you may also pose your questions in German. Sie können auch gerne nachher Fragen in Deutsch stellen und ich werde versuchen, sie sehr informell zu übersetzen. We're very pleased that he can be with us here today. A warm welcome to Franz Josef Pschierer.
Dear Dr. Crane, thank you for the warmly welcome. And dear Dr. Crocker, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be here today to deliver a keynote speech to you as the patron of this event. And I would also like to welcome you very warmly to Munich on behalf of the Bavarian State Government, because we are very pleased that you have come to our beautiful Bavarian capital today to discuss a major milestone in the further development of the Internet. New Domains.org is one of the first international conferences in Europe to focus on the introduction of new top-level domains. This topic could hardly be more up-to-date. Only last June, ICANN gave the go-ahead for its new program. For the first time in the history of the Internet, we will be free to choose any names and register them as top-level domains. This new freedom opens up entirely new opportunities for us that we must recognize and use. But it also involves challenges which we will have to face up to. I would now like to help you understand this field of friction as well as Bavaria's relationship with the Internet from the perspective of the CIO of the state of Bavaria. Inspired by the new opportunities presented in the early days of the Internet age, the state of Bavaria launched its Buy on Online initiative back in 1994. The administration stepped up the development of web presences and online services in order to facilitate worldwide round-the-clock availability of information and service offers. But we also wanted to improve the business processes and IT infrastructure of the Bavarian administration with an integrated, holistic approach and to gear them towards the new requirements. And so in 2002, we launched our e-government initiative. The new goal was not only to present the administration in the Internet, but in particular to improve the quality of service in administrative work with the help of IT. With this in mind, we closely involved our municipal administrations, in particular in the e-government initiative, as they were the main providers of administrative services. Within the scope of the initiative, an intensive dialogue was also conducted with the business community in order to ease the burden on companies by removing avoidable red tape in the handling of administrative procedures and help companies with their business decisions by making sure that the relevant information was available online. We are currently continuing this strategy of opening up and cooperation with our open data and open government projects. By extensively opening up our state in the Internet towards more transparency and more participation for citizens, the creative potential of society is to be exploited in the interest of both, in the interest of government and administration for their policy and their work, as well as in the interest of the citizen gaining more regard of their concerns and receiving improved government services. In the light of the growing significance of networking and cooperation in the Internet for citizens, companies and administration, increasing importance is also being attached to the presentation of the identities involved. With a view to achieving better perception among the desired communication partners and to be able to stand out better from the large number of other identities. As a consequence, this leads to better accomplishment of goals associated with an Internet presence, whether they are of an economic, political, cultural, social, or purely personal nature. ICANN was quick to recognize this trend and took it into account when releasing the names for top-level domains. In this way, everyone is given the chance to improve the presentation of their identities in the Internet. Although having a top-level domain of your own opens up many opportunities, the costs incurred by such a decision must also be taken into consideration. The capital expenditure for granting licenses and registration, building up the technical infrastructure, as well as the organizational, administrative, and technical costs of day-to-day businesses, like, for example, ensuring stable domain operation that is technical in order, for example, by way of service level agreements, guaranteeing data protection and data security, or even the reliable exclusion of misuse of the domain name. Alongside the considerations outlined above, a number of basic decisions have to be taken, such, for example, will operation of the domain be commissioned internally or externally? What is the usage concept for subdomains like? Are there, for example, privileged groups of users? What kind of profits are expected? Profit or non-profit? All in all, it is clear that an organization will have to develop a well-thought-out business model for the launch of a new top-level domain. The business model that the state of Bavaria envisages for the launch of the Bayern top-level domain consists of the following key points. The domain Bayern should be operated by an external service provider. A suitable candidate will be chosen in a public competition in order to ensure equal opportunities and to promote the competition in Internet marketing. This competition was opened on September 15th. The candidate to be chosen will be presented to ICANN for authorization. Once authorization has been granted, the state of Bavaria will enter into an appropriate operator agreement. The state of Bavaria will not bear any of the costs of the bid procedure or any investment or operating costs for the Bayern top-level domain. However, the state of Bavaria reserves the right to have a say and decide on the management of Bayern. For example, the reservation and use of second-level domains is free of charge for all state and municipal authorities in Bavaria. Second, the pricing of second-level domains should promote marketing. A third, the costs of registering citizens in a domain Bayern subdomain must be kept within reasonable limits. Last but not least, and the decisive point for me as the State Secretary of Finance, reasonable participation in sales revenue and profit for the Bavarian state budget. We hope that with the domain Bayern we will create an interesting and promising way for our citizens and our business community to present themselves in the Internet. Bavaria's new domain Bayern will make a significant contribution towards boosting the brand name Bavaria on the Internet. We expect it to open up concrete opportunities for Bavarian location marketing and to boost our regional identity. An internet address having a regional connection with Bavaria is particularly interesting, especially to the tourist industry and to business enterprises operating in the region. On the subject of tourism and regional activities, finally, there is one more thing I would like to recommend you to do as the patron of this event. Enrich the valuable information, contacts and impressions gained from this conference by joining the atmosphere and positive outlook on life of our wonderful city of Munich with its sights and attractions. In particular, of course, a visit to our world-famous Oktoberfest is supposed to be the ultimate amusement. Enjoy its unique vibes with a mug of freshly tapped beer and hearty Bavarian meal. I wish you every success with the launch of the new top-level domains. And thank you very much for your attention.
Vielen Dank, Herr Staatssekretär. Questions for Mr. Pschierer? Yes, please.
So bin ich noch besser zu verstehen. Zunächst mal möchte ich den Freistaat Bayern und Sie persönlich ganz herzlich dazu beglückwünschen, dass Sie hier so schnell klare Rahmenbedingungen für die Bewerber geschaffen haben, die sich für eine Punkt Bayern interessieren. Ich glaube, dass das ganz wesentliche Voraussetzungen sind, um in diesem Markt dann auch erfolgreich das zu leben, für was die ICANN den Weg geöffnet hat. Wie Ihnen möglicherweise bekannt ist, ist in anderen Bundesländern bzw. Städten, in denen es auch Initiativen für solche Domains gibt, das Verfahren noch nicht so weit fortgeschritten wie in Bayern. Sie sind da also ziemlich weit vorgeprescht. Wenn Sie einen Anruf bekommen würden aus Köln, aus Hamburg oder aus Berlin und man Sie fragen würde, Mensch, ihr habt das doch schon gemacht, haben Sie mal einen Tipp für uns, was wir hier tun sollten, um das so schnell wie möglich auch so voranzutreiben wie hier in Bayern? Was würden Sie denn den Kollegen antworten?
I will just translate the question very briefly for the English-speaking members of the audience. The question is, Bavaria has gone ahead pretty quickly with setting up its plan and standards. What would he say to somebody who calls from Cologne or Hamburg or Frankfurt who wanted to know, how should we do this? What are the key points?
Es war natürlich auch im Freistaat Bayern eine sehr spannende Diskussion zu Beginn der Ausschreibung von ICANN. Die Grundsatzfrage: Wollen wir, ja oder nein? Und die zweite Frage, wenn wir ja sagen zum Wollen, machen wir es selber oder machen wir es über die Privatwirtschaft? Und die Entscheidung war bei uns sehr schnell gefällt worden. Und das ist, glaube ich, die Grundsatzentscheidung, weil sie in den politischen Parlamenten, und das ist in Hamburg und in den Stadtstaaten Berlin und Bremen nicht anders als bei uns, sehr schnell die Diskussion bekommen, Internet bietet Chancen, bietet auch Risiken, warum soll der Staat nicht hier in der Verantwortung bleiben? Und wir haben ganz klar uns entschieden, sehr schnell, nein, wir suchen einen privaten Provider, wir definieren Ausschreibungsbedingungen in einem fairen Wettbewerb, wollen allerdings in diesem Ausschreibungsverfahren uns dann auch bestimmte Konditionen selber mit berücksichtigt haben, bis hin zu der Frage, wenn wir einen Provider gefunden haben oder jemand, der in unserem Namen bei der ICANN die Bewerbung macht, dass wir natürlich beispielsweise über einen Beirat entsprechend dort auch vertreten sein wollen und unsere Interessen als Freistaat Bayern vertreten haben wollen. Also ganz konkret, so schnell wie möglich Grundsatzentscheidung, Frage in öffentlicher Hand, öffentlich-rechtlich oder in privater Hand, klare Entscheidung in Privathand, aber mit klaren Konditionen.
So the question is, how does the state decide the degree of control that it wants to maintain? Bavaria recommends that a state decide quickly whether they want to give this to a subcontractor, and if they do, what degree of oversight do they wish to maintain through, for instance, a council or commission that keeps its eye on the process. Bavaria did decide for a subcontractor, but does have a council that will be monitoring. Other questions?
Vielleicht noch eine Ergänzung. Natürlich auch der Versuch, den Nutzen, den Nutzwert und den Mehrwert einer Top-Level-Domain darzustellen. Also in dem Fall für die Tourismuswirtschaft, aber nicht nur für die Tourismuswirtschaft. Ich kann mir vorstellen, der Freistaat Bayern ist der Flächenstaat. Wir haben viele Regionen im Freistaat Bayern, Zusammenschlüsse von Gebietskörperschaften, dass die gemeinsam versuchen, sich im Netz auch zu profilieren, eine eigene Identität übers Netz auch zu schaffen.
Very important to weigh the costs and the benefits and the value added, and each state might decide differently there depending on its structure. Bavaria has a lot of different subunits with different needs, so important to weigh those. Yes, question here?
Alexandra Dellmeier, ganz kurze Frage. Abgesehen von .Bayern wird es auch .Bavaria geben?
I guess the English speakers understood that. Are we going to have a .Bavaria as well as a .Bayern?
Das ist eine sehr interessante Frage. Es war auch Gegenstand einer Kabinettsberatung. Es gab drei Begriffe. Es war einmal natürlich Bayern, dann BY. BY ist aber die Länderkennung von ein osteuropäischer Weißrussland. Und dann gab es tatsächlich die Anmerkung, wir haben die Institutionen Go to Bavaria und Invest in Bavaria. Das heißt, wenn der Freistaat Bayern auftritt global und macht Werbung für den Standort Bayern, dann machen wir das natürlich mit dem englischsprachigen Begriff oder Terminus Bavaria. Wir haben uns aber klar und unmissverständlich entschieden, Bayern. Brandname Bayern. Es gibt keine andere Diskussion mehr.
They decided their brand is Bayern. They are not going to have the subcategory of Bavaria, although there are several trademarks associated with the state. Invest in Bavaria, Go to Bavaria, and they even considered BY, but they found out that one belongs to Belarus, as White Russia. So there won't be.
For example, all over the world we speak of the FC Bayern or not FC Bavaria.
Right.
Thomas Laufersweiler, ARD Online. Mich interessiert das Verhältnis zwischen der Top-Level-Domain Bayern und der Top-Level-Domain München oder Munich. Sehen Sie das als Ergänzung oder kannibalisieren sich da zwei verwandte Top-Level-Domains?
Again, the translation briefly. If there were to be a .Munich or a .München in addition to a .Bayern, would we see cannibalization or are they complementary?
Ich glaube, es ist eine Ergänzung, ist meiner Meinung nach keine Kannibalisierung. Die Frage ist, wie viele Domains es unterhalb von Bayern noch gibt. Ich habe ja vorher ebenfalls angedeutet, ich kann mir auch vorstellen, dass es unabhängig von der Landeshauptstadt, wir haben zwei Metropolregionen, das ist München und Nürnberg, aber es gibt auch andere Gebietskörperschaften im Freistaat Bayern, die sich zusammengeschlossen haben. Das ist mir egal als CIO, ich zahle nicht dafür. Ich will nur, dass mit dem Namen Bayern kein Missbrauch getrieben wird. Aber ansonsten kann es darunter noch einiges geben.
He has a very flexible view on this. He says he doesn't, as long as he's not paying for it, he doesn't see why there shouldn't be complementarity there. Other questions? Okay.
Thank you very much, Ms.
Vielen
Gray.
Dank.